You've got to throw some cold water on the situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now.
Take two.
Hit me!
Episode 390.
You've got to throw some cold water on the situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now. So when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
No one listens to the radio. I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts. Podcasts are great. Radio's boring.
Wee doggies, man. I am out of practice, but I'm excited to be here, everybody. Welcome another edition of NetHeads. My name is Will.
My name is Trent.
If you would like to take part in the program, you can. This used to be the point where I would throw to Trent and I would say, oh, hi, but no, not anymore.
Yeah.
Look, if you're watching live, comment on it wherever the hell you're watching. That's what you can do. It's just that easy. I mean,
Yeah, if you
not
found
that
it,
anyone's going to watch anyway, you know what I mean?
No,
because
I mean,
we're like 46 minutes later than we used to. So
it's fine.
it's fine. Everything's fine. And, you know, my apologies for being late, but I got to be honest, guys. Dinner ran late. You know, it happens that way sometimes. Dinner goes late. It takes longer to prepare things. You got shitty timing or, oh, whoa, what happened to your hand, Trent? What is that I saw there?
Oh, that's funny. I got stitches.
Doesn't look funny.
I got stitches.
Ooh, you got a really bad owie.
Yeah,
is
well,
it something you want to talk about or no?
Like at least once a month, I have a cut that requires some sort of probably, or at least should probably have stitches. And this time, I finally was like, okay, yep, I'm gonna get stitches. I'm not even gonna try and super glue this one together.
This is the one, but I respect it because most of the time now, if you go to the hospital, they're just going to give you the liquid stitches anyway, right?
Yeah, yes,
or they're just going to rub some dirt on it and tell you to walk it off.
And honestly, they could like staple my hand to a 2x4, but the fact is that the billing it just takes forever. Like, just let me pay on the way out the door. Don't make me wait for like 2 months.
But no, because they got to contact your insurance and they got to submit. And you didn't have a copay, but you know, blah, 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 whatever.
I know. Yeah.
Hey,
anyway, no, I was sharpening a knife on a honing steel, and I was watching the angle of the blade, and then didn't see it come down, and it went right into my knuckle.
You know what gets me every time, Trent? The thing that gets me every time is I'm watching what I'm doing with a blade, and the moment before I cut myself is always the thought, you know, I should be doing this away from me.
Yep.
And that's what it does. Hey, by the way, in the chat right now, we got Miranda Janelle. I want to send out a special congratulations to Miranda Janelle because she just started a new job a few weeks ago, which I wasn't aware of. So congratulations, Miranda Janelle, on your new opportunity.
Hell's yeah, Miranda, who has helped me out in times where I've had to resort to the internet hive mind of being like, I can't, I promise I'm trying, and she's like, bam, right on it, knows what's going on.
Right. It's somebody that knows what they're doing when it comes to coding and all that jazz. They're worth their weight in gold. Also, a special shout out in the chat to this week's Patreon subscriber of the week. It is none other. You see him as ZB, but we know him as Zach Byerly. Congratulations, Zach. You're the Patreon subscriber of the week. You want to be mentioned on the program for supporting the show? Real easy. Go to NetHeads. Go to patreon.com/NetHeads on air. Support us. We'll support you. We're, it is what it is. By the way, I just want to say something, guys, okay? I'm just going to put this out there, all right? Because I know everybody means well when the show is live and we're doing things. If my audio's not coming through very strong on the old computer, as the kids say la vie, all right? Because you throw a correction out, and what happens is it just becomes a derailing because us neurotic types, that's all we can think about now. That's all we can think about.
Like, especially when it comes like to audio, right? Because
Trent, don't look, man. Don't get me fucking started, okay? Because I just had what should have been the best goddamn experience of my life. I spent 3 or 4 days. I flew out the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 3 days of something I never. I mean, sure, yeah, there are niche cons that happen. Okay,
Sure.
there
Yeah,
are
yeah.
lots of. You got your anime cons, you got your collector cons, you got all kinds of cons. Trent,
Got your furry cons.
I went to Kevin Smith's Chronicon.
Dude.
All right? Which, by the way, I just wanted you especially, when I saw this, I'm like, I got to have one of these. And if for no other reason, so I could share it with you. This is a legit Dickies shirt, work shirt.
Oh, are you
okay?
Dude, that is the way to do it.
And they have got the Chronicon badge on
with
the
the full
front. They got the
patch.
big
Yes.
old patch on the back.
Dude.
And you know what? There is nothing cooler than seeing either the guy that's walking around because it doesn't quite fit, so he wants it to he wants it to wear it as an over shirt, if you will. That's one thing. But then the other thing is all the cool guys walking around in their baseball caps, buttoned up all the way to the top, right? Because that's a clean,
Polo style.
snazzy look.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And them Dickie shirts, man, they always look like they are permanent press, no matter what you do.
It is stiff. We call
Awesome.
I think that's why they call them Dickies.
I see what you did there, you little pervert. You little. But anyway, I should have had the best time ever. And look, I'm not going to throw any shade because the two guys that were working the AV, you know what? Gosh darn it, Trent, they were doing the best they could, right?
Yeah,
they really were.
Yep.
But,
And like anything live, like as we're doing, there's shit's gonna happen that you did not plan.
I can respect that, but when I have an entire podcast that I'm going to have to go with ambient audio on in order to have something, I'm going to be pretty bitter about that, right? And if you're playing load-in music, meaning the crowd's coming in, you want some vibe and stuff, the moment the show starts, you better cut that shit, man.
Yeah, or do a mix minus so that you're recording with minus whatever bus that is on, right?
Or better yet, when a guy comes rolling in with a Zoom H6 and has the ability to capture 4 independent channels of audio, at least give me half of the mics on one, give me half of the mics on the other, and on the third, give me my sound effects, okay? So that way, if there's any fuck-ups, I can recover.
Yeah, that's the beauty of digital recording. We can ISO everything.
Dude, isolation is the magic term he's using there, and it is my favorite, and I wish it was in play. Like, look, man, it was a really, don't get me wrong, it was a fun experience, Trent. It was a really fun experience. It was great. It was at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare, I think is what they refer to it as, because it's right by O'Hare Airport.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about this con, the thing that I loved, is that if you stayed in the hotel, it was set up in the banquet halls of the hotel. So you could just roll downstairs.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot a cable. Run back up to the room. You know what I mean?
Yep, totally.
I'm feeling a little worn. I need to get away from the noise. I'm going to hit record. I'm not really responsible for this. I'm going to walk away, go back to my room, get some quiet, splash a little water on my face, take a dump, whatever, man. It's great.
Yep.
And honestly speaking, I got to tell you, look, I'm not going to lie. When it came to a niche con being put together, especially one just around Kevin Smith, I was nervous. I was nervous for my friend, okay? Because I do consider him a friend.
Oh, totally, dude. Like especially because the expectation for it, right? Like people who have voted with their money for this, they have a level of expectation that like you as like the person it's all about need to kind of make sure you meet.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta stand and you gotta deliver. That's what you gotta do, for Christ's sake. And thankfully the crowds came out in droves. As a matter of fact, I was sitting there at the end of day 2, which was Saturday. Now, first of all, Friday was a shortened day. I wish I had paid attention ahead of time because it was just like 4 o'clock. Actually, that's not true. Given all the issues, I'm glad I was there. But that started at 4 o'clock with a kickoff. Then there was something else, and then there was +1, right? Which, again, I've only got ambient audio for because of the horrible buzz that's present on what they sound. I mean, these audio guys, again, they were doing their best. But first of all, they had their mixer died on them, which is why my day 1 audio was shot. I don't know what happened, but we did an audio test. I pulled the card out of the recorder, put it in something else because it sounded good on cans on the H6, but let me try it on the computer too. Sounded good. And then something happened and everything went on the fritz. Nothing but static or horrible buzz. So day one was practically shot, which was a real bummer.
And
right?
and if I could just jump in and say, in working with what event service type AV people, they never ever like recording is not even on there. So they're mixing everything for the sound of the room, which is so different even. You know what I mean? Like, and they don't, it's not even, it's not on the radar at all.
No, they don't give two shits. They just care about the sound in the room. All right.
Yep.
That's all.
Yep.
It's like when Hollywood Babylon records at Flappers. Okay. Flappers isn't going to customize their soundboard for them. They want to, anything that they're recording for the talent, the comics want the crowd mix in there. They want it heavy. And the guy that's on stage, he's not going to care if his voice may drift from a good solid microphone to sounding more like the room audio capture of the room microphone. They don't care.
No.
But look, here's the thing. It's a simple rule. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. All right? Don't all this digital bullshit, okay? If I had rolled up into this bitch with my Zoom L12 live track, I could have given myself all the custom audio outs I wanted. I could have given myself isolated audio. I could have done mix minuses to just till the cows came home, my friend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But no, they got their fancy digital mixer and they do this and they do that. And it's like, you got 8 outputs. Why are you only giving me 2? And why are you, and the beautiful part, I kid you not, dude, at the point where I'm going to have to use this first 6 minutes of Hollywood Babylon, it's going to be ambient audio or ambient. I don't know which way is the right way to say it. Look, I'm frustrated. Back the fuck off. All right. That's all I'm saying. You can hear on the recording, because after day one, I figured even if it's the worst comes to worst and I've got to use ambient audio. By the way, I really wish I had been thinking, because I was rolling not with 1, but 2 Zoom H6s, right? I should have just taken the second one and put it on the fucking table on the stage as a safety, right?
Yeah. Or even at that point, run everything through it there and then to their system, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
See?
Yep.
Which would have been a smart move too, but didn't happen. So actually I couldn't, because it was wireless mics, nothing but wireless mics. So you can listen to the recording of Hollywood Babylon, and there's literally a point. The show has already started. I've already played the intro. It's already played in the room, right?
Yeah.
And you literally hear the guy who's running the mixer talking to the next guy saying, "Hey, how do I bring Will's audio up?" Bro, you're on the mixer. You're the one that gave me feeds. If you don't know, who does? Right? Look at the look on Trent's face.
Like, I take it so personally, because this shit happens to me on like a weekly basis. This is like, oh, dude, it is a real pain.
It's a mother trucker is what it is. It was a real mother trucker, but you know what? We got through it. The only unfortunate thing, I think, after that, hopefully, I haven't looked at all the audio. Okay, I haven't listened. Do you smell something? I haven't listened to all the audio yet, because I just don't have the heart. After I discovered the Hollywood Babylon thing, my stomach fell, my heart fell, and my brain just fell out of my ass. I was so upset. So I haven't looked back on any of the other stuff yet. Mind you, you got to remember, when I work with audio, I mean, like, I can read a waveform like that, like the dudes read the code in the Matrix. You know what I mean?
Dude. It's like, oh no, their nasally 5,000 is gonna peak right here. So let's EQ that down.
Yeah. Oh man. So I do look at audio. So just to be clear, I'm not speaking out of turn. But that was a little disheartening, and I'm telling you right now that next year, because by the way, they're already saying there's going to be a next year.
Good.
The con people already know that they pulled it off well enough, and that they made enough money that it's profitable, which is great to hear. So where I was going earlier, before I talked about all the audio problems, which still, I just want to cry about it sometimes, because, and the funniest part, night one, when +1 happened, That's when their mixer died. They were only getting one active microphone, or at least that's what they thought. The thing is, I listened to the audio afterwards. Even though there was a buzz, each microphone was working, but they only thought one was working because it was playing in the room. So they were handing it back and forth, and it was a funny bit. It played, right? But why are the dogs going nuts? It's like my family is purposely instigating them to make sure. They're like, why does he got to do his silly little podcast? Let's make sure we don't shut those dogs up at all. That would be very helpful.
Special command. Oh, like podcast, and then they know just like go ape shit.
Yeah, or you know, Jack Skellington. One skeleton has fallen into the other, and they're still freaking out about the sound. So where was I going with this? Okay, so and I'm making a point about that +1 audio because the funniest thing is realistically, I saw Kevin really 2 times over the whole weekend, which is fine. I'm not hunting the guy out, right? I'm not looking to have a fireside chat with him. Okay, right. I'm not expecting him to be talking to me about being on the 1s and 2s and all that jazz. Right. But I saw him 2 times. Okay, the first time is the only one I'm really going to talk about here, because the second one you can see proof of, because somehow I made we're about to do Fat Man on Batman or Fat Man Beyond live and stream it, and he's like, let's go take a picture, and I'm like, me? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, which is the wrong. Stick a pin in that. Remind me of that. Apparently, I don't know how to handle anybody wanting me involved in things. But let's move on. The moment that first audio problem happened, the first time I saw him was because I made a beeline. Well, actually, I made 2 beelines. The first time I made a beeline the fuck out of there. As long as I knew things were recording and I wasn't responsible, I did not want to be in that line of sight from the stage. And immediately after the show, I made a beeline backstage, just say, I want to be perfectly clear. I was not on audio for this one. And he's like, he just looked at me and was like, bro, I know. So when it happens next year, I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to insist on a minimum of 4 hardwired mics up to the stage. And that way I can patch in between them. I can patch off the board, whole mix, man. Because seriously, I could recreate everything if I just have their audio. You guys, by the way, welcome to NPR's We're Talking Audio and the challenges of event videography. Look, I'm not and you got to understand. I understand this. You know, Smodco is what we would refer to as a low-cost operator. Okay. I think that's the nicest way to put it. Smodco is a low-cost operator.
If we were using the vernacular of film, right, it would be hyper micro, or at least super micro budget.
Low budget independent film. Made the whole thing credit cards, $27,000, right? So the spirit continues on. But I have to tell you, man, a lot of the video that people are going to see, thankfully the social media photographer was nice enough to also bring their 4K Sony camera. But almost all of the video that we're going to be using, because it won't require color balancing, by the way, that'll be shared with that Kevin Smith Club if you're wondering where the video is going to be. But I have to tell you, I had on a lark because, you know, trying to light this situation in here, you know, I'm not like you. I'm not just, look at you flooding it with like the overhead light and everything you can throw at it. You know, I got little lights. I'm trying to go for an effect back here and all that shit. So I wanted something with a bigger iris, but the problem is I don't understand aspect ratios when it comes to lenses, which is embarrassing because I used to do event videography, but you know, video cameras just have their things. I had bought a 1997 autofocus Canon lens, refurbished, right? Yeah. Got it for a steal because I was thinking, oh, much larger iris on this thing, it'll be easier to light in here, which is true, it is. Yeah. But unfortunately, at its widest, it's still like even tighter than what you're looking at now, which is a bummer. Yep. But I'm thankful I had it because at the last minute, they're like, what do you mean video's not included in this? And I literally had to bring my dad's old, like consumer grade, lightweight photography tripod. Yes. And I was able to throw this on the camera with this adapter right here and zoomed in and I captured the whole thing, which was nice, which is the reason. And the reason I'm telling you about that is not to be braggadocious, but it's part of the reason why we're starting late too, because like everything in here has had to be rebuilt. Yeah, which look, man, we do it for the love, we do it for the fun. But realistically, you want all of this to just be locked down so you're not screwing with it every week, right?
Yep.
So that brings me to another point. So obviously I'm suddenly on audio, or I'm on video for this thing. I'm definitely on the hook. I'm trying to record audio. I'm on the hook for video for sure. And there was a moment, because Saturday night was a ticketed event. You had to have bought a VIP package to be able to go with an Evening with Kevin Smith Q&A. All right.
And what a cool like incentive for the package.
Yeah, that's definitely like an added bonus to throw in there. It's a smart thing. Now, again, niche con, worried for my friend, packed house. And it was a 600-seater minimum, which is great because
insane.
for all the other panels, it helps create FOMO if you can't get in and everything.
Totally.
And because is it really a con experience if somebody's not standing in a line, Trent? Is it?
No.
Exactly. So I'm sitting there back in the AV area, probably literally leaning like this. And I'm looking at my computer, and there's two cool moments that happened because they had a Chicago Chronicon step and repeat behind the stage. You know, the fact that we also do this podcast as video, you would think it would have been beneficial for me to include a picture to demonstrate this right now. But instead, I want you to use your theater of the mind.
Yeah.
If you've seen any footage from San Diego Comic-Con, you know what I'm talking about. The step and repeat is the whole graphic. And honestly speaking, you saw at the beginning the Chronicon logo. You know, if you don't remember, look, there it is. You know, you look at that, and I am totally surprised San Diego Comic-Con isn't suing somebody.
That is I didn't want to talk about it on air, but that was the first question I had for you. Was like,
No, they signed off on that when it came time for the movie. So, yeah, they were cool with it. Yeah, right? Because you remember Salt Lake City Comic-Con, they got some issues there, right? Anyway.
But that's a whole other shit show that,
Well, you know, just don't drive around San Diego Comic-Con with your con's logo and make it seem like you're, anyway. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this, and I have one moment where I'm like, wait a second. I'm capturing the type of video that everyone expects to see from a con. Right. I'm the guy that's doing this.
Yeah.
And then I realized Kevin Smith is about to walk out into his own Hall H for his own Comic-Con.
You duplicated the Hall H experience.
Right. And so what I did is right before the show, or right before, like probably mere moments before he's supposed to go out on stage, I sent him this, if you'll let me get to it. Here we go. Saturday, 8:15 p.m. local time, Chicago.
Okay.
Maybe. No, 5:15. I don't know. I did 5:15 maybe local time Chicago. Hell if I know. It was right before the goddamn panel. Look it up. I'm so happy for you right now. You're about to walk into your own Hall H at your convention. This is so amazingly nuts and wonderful. Congrats.
It is, man.
Right? It was just, it utterly blew me away. And it was an amazing weekend. They had, for example, Shannon Elizabeth came from South Africa for this convention.
Oh, shit.
Raquel Castro, who played Gertie in Jersey Girl. This was her first con. Genesis Rodriguez, who was in Tusk and also, well, actually, she's in the 4:30 movie, too. I'm just trying to remember if she was also in Yoga Hosers. But a great actress, which, by the way, funny story, I didn't put on the Wolverine helmet to show Trent, which, you know, I really wanted to, but just too cumbersome to try and put on. So the talks are still going. Did my wife and daughter decide to go somewhere? Or are they just purposely poking them? I don't know. Anyway.
Or are they looking at Jack and they're freaking out?
Yeah. So again, I should have included pictures, but let's move on. I'll post them somewhere afterwards. But I was walking around the con in this shirt, black and yellow, with the Wolverine helmet on. And like, why? You know, how does it thematically tie in? It doesn't. I had the helmet. I'm wearing it kind of thing.
Fine. Yeah. You make your own reasons.
So I'm walking around with that thing. Now, there was an area, I had an all-access guest pass, which meant I could go everywhere, okay? And so I could go to the green room, which I frequently did because it was catered, right?
Yes, it's catered, and it's a breath of fresh air.
Exactly, because it's quiet. It's relaxing. And the funniest part is I come walking in wearing that Wolverine helmet, and as I open the door and I look, and instantly I say, as my eyes have made recognition, I says out loud, I says, Trent, no, I'm not meeting Genesis Rodriguez wearing this stupid Wolverine mask, which I was. And the fact, I had to verbalize it because I'm telling you right now, the lower half of my face that was showing it, probably I made the same mouth I make when my kids are pissing me off and not doing what I ask, right? Just like, ugh.
Yep.
So, which she laughed about, had a wonderful conversation about dogs and TikTok and all that stuff. So that was a good time. But still, just kind of, to a mild degree, a little embarrassing. Not exactly the way you want to meet people.
Right, yeah. I mean, as far as the first impression goes, right? Because it's, oh, you mean the Wolverine guy's going to record us?
Oh, speaking of another great first impression, I'm sitting there and Shannon Elizabeth comes in and says, can I sit here? And naturally, I think I'm going to be funny. So I say out loud, I says, Trent, I says, no, Shannon Elizabeth, you can't. Because, you know, she was an American Pie and 13 Ghosts and all these things. So Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Jay and Silent Bob Reboot and all those wonderful movies. But, you know, she's there in the room. No, Shannon Elizabeth, you can't sit there. The joke didn't go over. Even better,
damn it,
that was the same day that Raquel Castro's panel had happened, her first ever panel at her first ever con. And I told her, wow, that went really, really well. I hope you had a good time. But I'm sitting across from Shannon Elizabeth, who had her panel right beforehand. So I said, oh, and Shannon, your panel was good too. At which point Mark Bernardin is standing right by me and he goes, Will, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? I was like, oh, God.
Yep.
Although the highlight of the green room that I'm going to share, and again, I'm not trying to be braggadocious because for me, I'm about to tell you guys also about the ways in the con that I'm very unclear that in a niche con, in the world of Kevin Smith, there's a sub-genre of that Kevin Smith club that I'm very closely associated with by the members.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yes, that makes sense.
So it never dawned on me, people can recognize me, okay? I've been waiting for it for fucking years, I'll be honest, right? I've been waiting for people to ask me to sign shit and all that.
Right, yeah.
But again, I just like, people like, hey, can I get a selfie? And I'm like, with me? Like, so it obviously coming across as humble, except for here right now. But the best part was when I was in the green room. I think it was on Sunday. It was the last day. Raquel Castro is there. Mark Bernardin is there. And apparently the day before, they were having fun torturing Kevin by anything suggestive that he would say, following it with, that's what she said.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So I'm trying to have a very serious conversation about a very serious topic, and Mark blurts out, that's what she said.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I say something else. Raquel Castro, that's what she said. I'm like, oh, my God. And then I'm like, guys, come on. Let's not be childish. But then again, I've got one of two ways to go with this here. I can either overthink about what I'm going to say, so that way everything's safe, or I can lean hard into it.
Yeah, you'll switcheroo on them.
Yeah, and I gave him the lean hard way. But the funniest part is that I see out of the corner of my eye as I'm talking, Mark is just like on the edge of his seat.
Waiting for it.
And then Raquel's like, I'm sorry, I know I don't know you well enough. I hope this is okay. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. I'm just trying. I can't wait to tell people the story that Gertie was blowing me shit in the green room. Yeah, that's the moment I'm waiting for. So anyway, that happened, but still, it was a wonderful weekend. Lots of great people, and like I said, the one thing I didn't anticipate, I didn't expect. You would think I would, because this is a niche con for a very focused thing.
Sure.
And so like it should have dawned on me that there would be people that were like, hey, that's Will Wilkins, because I'm the name on the board. I'm the guy who emails them when shipments fuck up, all that stuff, right? So, but I just wasn't prepared for it. At the end of the con, like after the last panel happened, because they had the large Jane Silent Chronicon logo of Chronicon and Bluntman that you see in the lower corner of that image right there. That was behind me on a blue thing. People coming up asking me for selfies. I'm like, okay, I don't understand, but sure. At which point I'm always like, hold it up higher. Give this chin some rest, please.
Yeah. Get rid of this chin here. Thank you.
Yeah.
I only need one.
Which is, by the way, I understand now. Anytime when you ask to take a selfie with a celebrity, that's the reason why they grab your phone. It's because they
I
want
said,
to
let
frame.
me take it.
Exactly. They're
That's
like,
so smart. Yeah,
I know how to frame me, right? That's what they said.
totally.
And then I was taken aback even further by two other things. Again, this sounds so braggadocious. I'm sorry. But the first one was when JC was there for Fat Man Beyond, because, he runs Fat Man Beyond. He produces it. He's the executive producer. He's just all over it like white on rice. Mm-hmm. And so he and I are both there behind the booth. And somebody literally comes up and says, because, Nate Gonzalez, who does the Fat Man Beyond artwork, had a table on the floor. Anthony, I can't remember his last name, but he has, or is it Andrew? I'm horrible with names. Let's just acknowledge this now. He had a booth. Jeremy Simser, who did the storyboards for Kevin's runs on The Flash, he was there, which, by the way, he had an example of the artwork he did for the Wolverine and Deadpool fighting the Legion of Deadpools in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
That was him. He did that whole storyboarded that whole sequence, right? Put it together.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Captain Ribman was there. Somebody came up to JC and I and asked, why don't you guys have a booth on the floor? I'm like, because nobody sees us anyway, so it'd just be like, who are these two dicks? But
they're like, why do I want to buy this guy's messed up 3D prints?
Yeah. Let me tell you something, man. If I had been thinking, I should have rolled in. I wear this helmet on Friday, run around, and then Saturday at my booth, it's like you can buy a Wolverine helmet for your own self.
Yeah.
So there was that. And then the other thing, too, again, photo or example would have been great to have, but that Kevin Smith Club members that attended the con also got a special That Kevin Smith Club badge. And then there were people asking me to sign their badges, which, for that Kevin Smith Club makes perfect sense. It made me very
it
happy.
does. Yeah, it
was
does.
very cool.
Yeah.
Up until the point where they're using all the stuff for identity theft, right? That's the point where you got to
I never thought about that as far as an autograph goes. Yeah. Huh.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, the best part. And you guys are like, oh, gosh, Will, you're bragging. If you're wondering why I was so humble and so clueless, the first person to recognize me comes up, and I kid you not, thank you, Zach, in the chat for reminding me of this. Patreon of the week. That's the reason why you exist, my friend. Bringing in the hard notes for the show. Walks up to me and says, hey, can you, are you Will Wheaton? And I look right at him and I go, no. No. Do I look like I was in Stand By Me? Do I look like I was sitting on the bridge of the Enterprise D? I think not. Okay. Do I look like I was on, oh God, what was it? Sci-Fi Channel's Eureka? No, wasn't me.
Do I have a voice to do the recording of the Kaiju Preservation Society? No.
No. Do I look like I'm hosting the Ready Room on Paramount Plus? No. But it was really, really funny. And at which point I'm like, do you mean Will Wilkins? And the look of embarrassment, yet acknowledgement on his face was very nice.
Yeah. I mean, and you like, we've all done that. We've all been there. We've all made that similar mistake before. And so it's like, oh, the empathy cringe, it hits deep.
Yeah, it's that moment where you accidentally call your teacher mom, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or mommy.
Yeah. No. Dude, what happened to you in school? Show me on the doll where the teacher touched you, my friend. Therapy is a very real thing. I just want you to know that. So anyway, that was my Chronicon experience. Obviously, I did more working there because originally I thought, oh, it would be really nice to just go and hang out and see how it is. Maybe, I don't know, have a booth. No, I'm kidding. But I think working it actually helped more because I didn't have those moments where I was like wandering around or sitting in the foyer wondering what the hell do I do now?
Yep. Yeah, yep. I know exactly what you mean.
There was always something to do, try and capture the footage, do this, do that. And at a minimum, I would have to drift in and hit stop and then hit record again for each panel so I at least had some natural breaks.
Yeah.
But it was a wonderful experience. Kevin, I mean, the only thing is, again, somewhat humble, but, I even told my wife after the first day, people recognizing me. asking me to take selfies and stuff. I said, honey, this is bad. I'm going to be unbearable for the next week. So I could only imagine what Kevin felt like, because, it's just like it was all about him the whole weekend, right?
Like there is, I mean, that a con is the kind of the zenith of fandom, right? Like people are joining together physically. It's very easy to have fandoms digitally, right? Because we're all over, but to actually like bring human beings together in this day and age around a single topic, that's kind of as big as a fandom goes, right?
You know what? I'm going to say something. It's a very simple concept, Trent, but it's just a manifestation of the internet in real life. Realistically speaking now, that's what it is. It
is a IRL message board.
Exactly, right there. Just laid bare in front of you, my friends. So,
yeah.
And by the way, it was actually Evie that reminded us. I just saw her in the chat, but it was Zach who got the attention. So once again, a man steals the thunder of the efforts of a woman. What are you going to do? So that's about it for me, Trent. Now that we've talked for almost 40 minutes all about me, how are things going in your world other than the severed finger?
Oh, it was just one of those things, man. Like the second it happened, it was like, okay, yep, not fucking around on this one. Like it is, because when else are you honing your Ginsu knives, but at 2 a.m. on Saturday morning, the thought was, yep, I need to go to the ER. I'm going to the ER right now.
Which is exactly any time after midnight is when you really want to go to the ER.
Oh,
holy
shit, dude. The people waiting in the ER, I'm like, oh shit, I'm not going to get in because there's so many. No, they were waiting for other people and they all looked haggard. Like, I don't know if the people in the ER were half as bad as the people who were waiting for them. Who knows what was going on that night. But no, man, I'm honestly, I'm actually kind of gearing up for another semester of teaching, and I'm retooling the whole class. So that's kind of been like my focus right now is like, I got a new book for it. We're actually going to follow a book this time because more structure was requested in the teacher evals from last semester. So we'll play to the audience on that one.
You know what? You tried to give them a nice, easygoing experience. You tried to let them, have a look, man. This one class, you can have an easy time. We're going to get through it together. I'm going to be somewhat easy on the grading. You can enjoy yourself. But no, they wanted more structure.
That's not what they want. Yeah, like I told them straight up, like I'm going to try to. This class will be kind of like a job, the way you're given a project and go figure it out and then get back to me and I'll give you feedback. Because let's be honest, that's the way jobs are. And they did not like it. They like knowing their grades ahead of time. They want to see structure and progress so that they can adjust things along the way. Like students are very particular in how they student, we'll say.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If everything else is structured, they want to know that you're adhering to the ABCs of it because that's how they know how to get through it. So I understand.
It makes sense. So I'm going to try to still give them both experiences so that they know what's going on and they can feel safe about that, but also understand like, oh, this is what a job is like. Like you're not being told exactly what to do. You just kind of have to do something you think is best and then get feedback. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You got to do that. Now that I think about something, Trent, it just suddenly dawned on me. As I was going in to this experience where I knew I was going to have to run, at a minimum, video on everything.
Right.
Why didn't I reach out to the guy who single-handedly, with a little bit of help, does wrestling recording like at least once a month with Devotion Wrestling? Why didn't I say, hey Trent, so this is what I got, this is what I'm doing, you got any tips?
But what am I missing? What am I not thinking about ahead of time? Yeah, no, I mean, but you figured it out, right?
I mean, to the best of my abilities. We did, next year, as long as we can make it work with the seating and with fire code adherence and stuff.
Yep.
We're definitely going to put like the AV Village up onto a stage, so we're not on the floor.
Oh, dude, that's that's a must.
Yeah, and that way we can have like the cameras maybe
Yep,
behind us and
Yep.
shooting so that way we don't have people walking into frame
In
like
the
we
shot.
did.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that kills me. Although I will tell you, next year as well. No, we won't have the cameras up front, so it won't work. But I really wish I had a secondary camera that was just sitting on the table, shooting at where the sticks were, because I would love to just have an accelerated playback of all of the people that were trying to duck below.
Yep. Yep. But at the same time, I love those people. Like, they're at least aware of their surroundings versus the other guy who just like walks and is like, oh, where should I sit? As he's like, back of his head is all in the shot. Like, ugh.
Yeah, well, that's on us for not having it elevated, but still, yeah, the people doing the limbo rock, I really appreciated every single one of them.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, those like, be that guy, be the overly cautious guy in your surroundings
Yeah,
or
man,
person.
be
That guy
aware.
is gender neutral at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, that's what somebody tried to tell me early on when one of my first jobs working in retail, I was selling electronics at a smaller chain, West Coast, more West Coast based, west side of the Rockies, which was called The Good Guys. And I'm like, but we have women that work here too. So they tried to tell me, no, guys is just a genderless term.
Yeah, it kind of is. And let's be honest, men can go, like, we deserve to lose a little of our gender power in the nomenclature space.
I mean, I'm already taking credit for other people's work and assigning it to men. So yeah, I think you're right. You know what I mean? Got to give it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about, is there anything else I want to talk about? Because honestly speaking, I don't know what it was. I don't know. First of all, I got to say, I got to pick my own flights. And one of the things I knew that I would have to do that I never do was check a bag. Okay.
Oh, yeah, because you're bringing gear.
Right. I'm bringing gear. Yeah. And naturally, if I'm paranoid, I'm bringing gear on the plane with me.
Yeah.
And I'm checking my clothes because at a minimum, I can wash my underwear in the sink every day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You can go to the nearest Target or whatever and buy whatever you need to wear, but you may not be able to find the RCA to 1/4 inch adapter that is needed in this one moment.
Right. I'm not gonna. Oh my gosh! I have to. How the hell, in the suburbs of Chicago, Rosemont, Illinois, really? How am I going to find a micro HDMI to HDMI cable? Where am I going to find that?
The micro, dude. I've with that exact adapter, dude. I've doubled up on them because it's burned me in the ass. And like 20 years ago, that thing. 20 years it would have been, but. Radio Shack, ubiquitous. We could have gone to any mall or any big strip mall and found it at a Radio Shack. You can't even buy electronics at Radio Shack on their website anymore.
No, because that's the only place they exist, and that stuff, they're just going to be going general consumer because that's what sells, baby.
Exactly, man. Like, yeah, you've got to have that stuff. It's and with the micro, you might get it at a Best Buy, but at best you're gonna have to buy it in like a pack of like 4 other HDMI adapters or something like that, right? Like, if they've got it.
Yeah, which odds are they aren't.
They don't.
So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so I had to check a bag. And knowing that I was going to do that, I wanted a direct flight because I did not want to have that addition. Look, man, I'm not going to lie to you. All right? I knew I was going to have to check a bag. And as I was going into the airport, I looked down at the Southwest counters where I could check a bag. And I said, nope. And I brought everything through and I gate checked that sumbitch so that way I knew on
right
the
there.
plane. Right,
It's
exactly.
right
It's just got to go down a set of stairs, hand it to a guy. Guy's going to throw it on a belt. Another guy is going to violently toss it into the plane. Thank God it's just my... yeah, exactly. It's just like... He likes to do the hate throw. And so, it's like, it's fine. It's my unmentionables. Go ahead. Throw it as hard as you want. Actually, I have to admit, the Wolverine helmet went in with the clothing, with all of the clothing inside and around it.
And around it, yeah, so it's nice and protected.
And the only casualty that happened may have happened when I was taking it out of the bag, and I just need to do a little cleanup. You wouldn't even notice it. Just this little artificial sideburn Just this
Oh,
little separation that happened.
Yeah.
That was it. And you know what? It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
A little bit of something, it'll be fixed. So I knew I was going to check a bag. I wanted a direct flight. And so because of that, I flew out of Sacramento Airport, which, you know, realistically speaking, every airport is at least an hour from me, right? So Oakland Airport, Oakland Airport, about an hour, 45 minutes if I'm lucky. San Francisco Airport, you know, maybe 110 minutes. I don't know, depending on the traffic. 90 minutes, whatever.
And with
Sacramento,
the check bag, and with the check bag, it's not like you're going to BART in, right?
Yeah. No, because let me tell you something. If you're coming back anytime, or going out or coming back anytime during commute, the commuters will look at you shitty if you've got multiple bags taking up space.
100%. Yep.
They will look shitty at you. So I went to Sacramento Airport, as I said, but the only direct flight that I could find that would work, and mind you, I'm losing 2 hours as I fly out. I got to the airport. My flight was at 5:15 a.m.
Oh.
And the hotel is 5 minutes. 5 minutes from O'Hare Airport. But I couldn't get a direct flight to O'Hare. I had to go to Midway, which during the middle of the day, or 11 a.m., 12 a.m., whenever the hell I was leaving the airport, 12 p.m., that was like closer to an hour to get to the hotel. But coming back, once again, 5 a.m. flight.
Yeah.
Or no, it was an 8 a.m. flight, but I had to get there early, 6 a.m.
Coming
I
back.
wanted to make sure,
Direct
so
flight.
and it was also Indigenous Peoples Day, so I'm sure traffic, that was only 23 minutes. So I was deferring my connection time,
right,
which I was fine with. Why am I bringing all this up? Because for one, I think I got maybe 3 hours of sleep before I left for the airport. Because, you know, you've got anxiety, last minute things.
I got everything. I'm checking my bag. What am I forgetting?
Dude, somehow I still forgot a belt and socks. I'm not kidding.
Of all the things.
Right? A belt and socks. I had 2 pairs of pressure, or what are those things called? Compression socks for the airplane.
Smart. Yep. Smart. You don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that's a good thing, that you're supposed to wear compression socks on a plane. Is that true?
Very true. Yeah. Anytime you're seated for a long time, like I had a friend who did drove back to New York from here over Christmas break, blood clots because he was seated driving so long in his leg. Yeah, it's a thing.
Oh, good to know. Yeah, because it was like a 4-hour and change flight.
Yeah.
But because I only had 3 hours and I left at 5 a.m., and I discovered this once going back east too on a red eye. If you want to quickly adapt to a new time zone, sleep deprive yourself.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yep.
Because you will instantly get in sync. But I will say, it was effortless. I wasn't really tired the whole time. I had a great time. I was functioning well, going to sleep almost at appropriate times, waking up at decent times. When I came home for that second flight that I got early for, first of all, as far as I knew, the flight was 30 minutes. Okay? 30 minutes. I put on the last part of Spider-Man No Way Home that I had been watching. Yeah. They were just about to get to, they were like figuring out how to heal the villains, and it was the final confrontation. Didn't see any of it. I think I saw Peter swing away and then talk to Michelle, MJ, whatever she calls herself in this. At the coffee shop. I saw that part. Then I put on Hot Fuzz. Dude didn't even get to the town. Okay, Simon Pegg never even got to the tiny little town. Didn't see any of that. And by the way, Hot Fuzz, not a short film. I awoke when they were finally at the tiny replication village, in the final moments of the film. So the whole thing was just about 30 minutes. Came home, functioned for a little bit, fell asleep. But I kid you not, man. Tuesday, I was shot.
Edge of the world.
I was donezoed. I literally, I know I slept most of Monday away, and Tuesday I was all but useless. Now, you used to travel for work a lot. Yeah. So why did that happen to me?
Honestly, Will, now I'm just throwing this out here. I would guess it would have more to do with the high amounts of adrenaline,
stress, and adrenaline,
and serotonin at the same time. Like you're getting a lot of hormones being created in your body reacting to situations like for us, like you're high for a long level of time that when it crashes, your body just has to like deal with it and try to recover from it. Cause that's like, seriously though, like it's stress. It's how your body's just reacting to like such an event. Like I would guess if it was in, San Francisco, you would have had the exact same reaction to it.
Okay, so I still would have been useless the next day. By the way,
in fact, my friends who are like active con participators as vendors and presenters and everything else, they call it con hangover.
I completely believe that. By the way, you just said something that all the adrenaline and stuff. When the audio problem was happening, like on +1,
dude.
I got to tell you, I had anxiety because I've been there where things are going wrong.
Yeah.
But I had both anxiety and an incredible sense of relief that I could just turn down and look down the table and think to myself, bro, that sucks.
Yeah. I don't know. How do you bring his audio down, bitch?
I'm glad that I'm almost glad, or no, I'm not probably glad that the ambient audio is what I have to use, except the crowd probably drowned it out. But I think it was for like one of the first audio cues that I had to play. Because, with Hollywood Babylon, there's a lot of audio cues and clips to play. You are running an AV presentation for a presenter, and you're just relying on their cues. And I went to play it, and I hit the button. You couldn't hear anything. And literally, I just turned and yelled, "Guys!" And I'm sure it reverberated through the room.
Uh-huh.
But again, it was nice to be able to blame somebody.
I know I know exactly that feeling. That exact same situation. It gives me anxiety just thinking about it.
And look, I know not every episode of NetHeads goes off without a hitch, okay? I know there's always some issue. Whether it's the fact that my audio is too low, or when I'm trying to take off a helmet and I try to cut to Tony, and then I accidentally hit the button again and come back to me, and you get to see the same face I probably make when you catch me doing things with myself I don't want other people to see.
Right.
It's not perfect. But all I'm saying is, if I had my mixer and I had all my stuff, clearly I have the ability to run a show alone from here, right?
Yeah.
So, you cannot tell me that things can't work. You cannot tell me things can't be done. Yep. I was just absolutely mystified. But, at the same time, like I said, all this fancy digital mixer bullshit, you gotta not use that kind of thing for live events unless you are coordinating a massive like concert and you do need multiple musicians and everything. Okay.
And if you're an expert on it. Right, like you have to know like which matrix is set up to where everything is going, so that it's not an issue, and you're like, yeah, I got it dialed in, because like if you have to look at someone else, then you're using the wrong equipment.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, yeah, tell me about it. Especially when you ask for something simple and it involves like them going bip 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 zip 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 zip. Is that how does that? No, okay, hold on. No. It's like, oh man, you already lost me. You already lost me.
Yep.
Especially since, like, even with my Zoom mixer here, I'm pretty sure. Okay, maybe not. Maybe I couldn't get throughput. But if there's any other mixer that didn't have a digital recorder built into it, like I've got one out in the garage where literally you can have a microphone come in and you can just pass it through to the next thing.
Yep.
So, if it weren't a digital mixer and everything didn't have to be assigned for each bus or each output, it would have been effortless. It would have been a lot easier. They would have been able to troubleshoot, and they wouldn't have had an issue with an entire mixer fritzing out on the first day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I guarantee you. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like you would have instant feedback, so you would know, oh, this is doing this. Let's change this or swap it out for something else.
Yeah. Exactly. And, if it weren't so, because I know that it probably didn't get fried. Something probably got fed in, or it didn't just die. Something got fed into it wrong, and it ended up burning something out.
Yep.
And I know that because back when I set up Kevin Smith's studio in his living room, I had a digital hybrid phone patch for the call-in line.
Yeah.
And the producer that he had hired for it thought they were being helpful and decided to plug the wires in for me. And the last thing you wanted with a powered device, the digital hybrid, is to put it into a port, into an input on one of the buses that is running phantom power.
So, yeah, I was going to say if it's anything that has its own, even an electorate could have enough power to go back and
Yeah. God, just like, man, keep it simple, stupid. Life would have been so much easier.
Kiss, baby, kiss.
You know what? It's the first year. It's the first year.
Exactly. Right. And it was a proof of concept that worked.
Yeah. And next year, we all know, if we don't want to have as many problems, want to have things less predictable. I don't mean to sound braggadocious again, but just put me in charge of the shit. All right.
Yeah. Yep.
Let me. I'll tell you. We'll rent the equipment. I'll tell you exactly what we're going to rent.
Yep.
I'll tell you what we're going to get, because realistically speaking, you could have hard lines up front that are just going into a patch that could just be coming across two cables coming back.
Exactly. And honestly, I would be surprised if that didn't already exist. There are few ballrooms in any venue that doesn't have that in the wall already.
Well,
if at the very worst, they're converting it to and transmitting it over a cat cable, and then you can convert it back out after that.
Yeah, which was one of the things they did with their wireless mics, I believe. But anyway, neither here nor there. I will say, though, that I did kind of complicate things a little bit, because I said, no, there are a lot of things where we have to coordinate, and I want to have cameras here, so we need to move. I just want to keep calling it Video Village. We need to move the AV front of house, or whatever you want to call it. It's got to be right at the center aisle, with a line of sight right down the middle of the aisle.
That's how, like, for everything I've done, and I did it one conference that was huge this year, and that's exactly how we set it up. Like that's the ideal. We were just right center stage. So when something goes wrong, you've got eye contact with whomever is presenting, or that's the way it should be done. It's funny because I've had event services guys who always want to set up on the side, and I'm like,
in the corner, the goddamn corner.
And I'm like, no, that's not. This is not going to work, guys.
Yeah, that's not going to play. It's not going to happen. And like I had the benefit a few times of coordinating media for San Diego Comic-Con for Mr. Smith. And because of that, I was in their AV Central. And even in that massive Hall H room, they are dead center aligned with the stage.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's the way any control room should be set up. Like but it's weird though, because it's an event services type thing, where they just want to be like out of the way. And like, no, guys, like you are part of the show. You don't get to just set it and forget it.
Yeah. Although you're probably right. Like, I would at least think, since the panel hall was the one that was on at least one of the outside, well, two of the outside walls for backstage and for the hallway to the side, definitely, I would think there would be at least one audio patch panel against one wall, right?
Totally. Yes. Like for any ballroom, there's usually at least one per wall.
Yeah,
so that
because
way, even if you're splitting up the room, you've got a connection somewhere.
Because the DJ's got to set up for the wedding, right?
Exactly.
The McFinster wedding is going to happen no matter what in that place.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, one of the con days, they were maintaining the bathroom downstairs, and we tried to steamroll another one of the restrooms, but it was a private event because it was somebody's wedding, because it's a freaking hotel, right?
Right. Yeah. which I also love. Like that's grassroots con shit right there, man.
Yeah, it's just like, and then like, no, this is a private event. I'm like, I just need to take a piss. And they're like, I'm sorry.
Like my teeth are floating here.
Again,
I
used to do event videography. I understand. I'm not trying to bust your chops. Although I will say that if I were there and there wasn't any responsibility for the con, I would have loved to have been people watching when the wedding got out. Because if it's a single location, rooms in the hotel, banquet hall downstairs, people are just going to get shitty drunk. And they are so entertaining when they come staggering out of an event.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite thing to do is people watch, and especially when I'm the sober one, and they are just, look, man, I'm not going to lie. I saw quite a few things as an event videographer. The best one was it was one of the classier hotels in San Francisco. I don't want to say it was the Four Seasons, but let's just go with that. It sounds like a fancy thing, right?
Yeah.
So the only problem is these people got married, and it wasn't the first time I'd shot a wedding there, but they got married in the banquet hall that was just like outside of and across from the bar, the hotel bar, right? And I kid you not, this groom and his groomsmen were such Neanderthal knuckleheads. They got mad that people had, near the end, had been crashing the wedding because they were staggering out of the bar and going into the wedding. I literally watched the groom and the groomsmen like throw a guy across the table and then proceed to beat his ass into the hall and down the stairs. At which point, being the responsible person I am, and because I didn't want to have to testify against my client, I promptly packed all my shit up and left. That was it.
Turned the camera off and got the hell out of there.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're not capturing anything else. There's not going to be any exit. And like I said, I don't want to be on the list for either the prosecution or the defense.
Yeah, you don't want your footage to be put into discovery at all.
No, definitely not. You know what, Trent? We've talked people's ears off about this shit. I'm glad we got into your life a little bit since suddenly it's, well, I guess NetHeads is the Will show anyway, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Deservedly so.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It isn't anything if you are not here or Tony are not here. So thank you very much, as always, for dropping in, for joining me, for doing this, because I always appreciate you. Figure I may as well say it on the air instead of just kissing your ass off the air like I normally do.
No. Yeah, it's fine.
The moment all the recording stuff goes off and I've turned off the side lights and it's just me and I've probably changed to another shit, that's the first thing I'm like, oh my God, dude. Every single time the show finishes, he hears the same thing. I'm like, look, I know it's been more than a decade. I appreciate you being here. If you're just too kind-hearted and you don't want to tell me you're just sick of doing my bullshit, I appreciate it, but please let me know. Mm-hmm. And what do you say every time?
Dude, I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to be.
There you go. And I hope that's the same for everyone that's enjoyed this episode. I don't know what we accomplished other than trying to blow up my ego a little bit more. But, you know, I always come away from this. Maybe it's the talking and all the expelling of the carbon dioxide.
Yeah. Or you're just getting oxygen out, so your body is like, no, give us air, and so afterwards you're like, oh,
yeah. I don't know what it is, but I always feel better. But I especially feel better when I get to talk to my friends when I do this. So thank you very much to everyone. Like I said, that is out there. Special shout out again. Patreon subscriber of the week, Zach Byerly. If you want to find out how you too can support the show and get your name shouted out, it's real easy. Just go to patreon.com/netheadsonair. Until next time, my name is Will.
And my name is Trent.
And we'll be back
soon.
NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a Smodcast production. Smodcast Podcast. Using our mouths on you since 2007.
Yes.
Your microphone's still alive. I know you're talking to the dogs.
Was it really?
I can't mute you when I'm playing that. So, you know, because we'll come back and it'll just be you talking on video, moving your mouth, and nobody will hear anything. At first, I thought you were going along with the end bit, and no, he's talking to the dogs. Okay, well, you know what? I understand. By the way, I know, you know, Tony and I have. I figure, you know what? We'll leave this the Tony and me thing with the live long and prosper. May the force be with you. That bit, but also. I didn't want to do it. I got to admit, I didn't want to do it this time. I just want to get out of here.
Fine. Just be done. Just cut it off.
We started late. We got an hour. I just want to be done. But yeah, you know, look, man, it's okay. You can talk to your dogs. I'm not going to stop you. But you know, just, I mean, I know you're not here all the time, but just be mindful. Okay. That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
Don't be the version of the guy walking in front of the camera.
Exactly.